Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Wayward Soul Searchers, Meet the Searchers. I'm Jason, and with me tonight, I'm very excited to introduce Heather Savant. She is a researcher, she's an investigator. Anything that we need, Heather takes care of it. Heather, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good.
Good.
How are you?
So I'm good. It's glad to be in the air conditioning. It was pretty hot today, but I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm good. So I guess the first question I have for you, Heather, is what got you into the paranormal investigations? What made you become an investigator? I know most everybody in the group has had some kind of experience that happened to them. So if you can just tell the viewers, kind of what got you into it and what made you want to be an investigator.
I've always been a lover of history. I'm a big history buff. Growing up, I grew up in a house that was built just before the Civil War started, right next to a plantation, Rose Hill Plantation over in Stevensburg, in Culpeper County. And so many soldiers were treated over in that area that fought there at Cedar Mountain. And, there wouldn't be a summer day or spring day that didn't go by that my dad wouldn't be working out in the yard. If there was a pile of dirt, I was digging through it, pulling out pieces of pottery, pieces of metal, anything I could find that looked old, and collecting it. And I was very obsessed with the Civil War, especially, and came to know the history of Culpeper County. Even actually took a class in high school with Miss Graves about Culpeper County history. The whole class for that whole semester was just Culpeper County history. Learned all about Brandy Station, everything, and really enjoyed it, and have collected pieces of artifacts over the years. But there have been stories that have followed around our family. Was little, I was actually talking with my dad this evening about it, from where a house that we lived in over in Oakwood Estates and Mine Run, which, there was another battle there. And that house, things happened. And I have some, and so I was asking my dad about them this evening, and that I apparently had things that were two entities that apparently hung around, that I had given names, and that these entities were not friendly. And eventually we wound up leaving. And it was a home we had built, or my family had built. The people who wound up moving into the home after us did not stay in the home very long either. The home mysteriously burned down. There's another home there in its place. Not sure if anybody there has ever experienced anything, but it's stuff that is, has happened over the years. We've had things happen that I lived in. My mother had experiences, my sister. So it's always something that has intrigued me.
Well, I know one of the things I mentioned in one of the previous episodes is if anybody's interested in doing paranormal investigations, I think anybody in our group would say, find an old house or business that was used for a Civil War hospital. And I will say, where you lived in Stevensburg, anybody that's a Civil War buff, and I love history too. I think everybody in the group loves the history of the locations as much as, the paranormal part of it. But I also love metal detecting. And the biggest thing that you can metal detect, especially in Virginia, is Civil War artifacts. And where your house was in Stevensburg, we're talking, if Stevensburg is here and you've got Brandy Station this way, you've got Cedar Mountain this way, you've got go to Chancellorsville, you got the Wilderness, all these great battlefields everywhere around that area. And Stevensburg was
right
rich
in the
history. And oh man, I wish we would have had a chance to investigate that house, and I could have metal detected it. That would have been awesome.
I wish you could have too. And really, what was really cool too was that Salubria, which is the oldest house in that area, you could see from my house,
Yeah, it wasn't.
especially when there were no leaves on the trees.
Yeah, it wasn't far away at all. And that place
No.
is supposed to be haunted. I'd love to investigate that place.
And we took field trips there when I was in Brownies. Heard a lot of ghost stories about that place.
Mm-hmm.
Got feelings when I was a kid there. Went there as an adult. And it was pretty cool because we did see the rocking chair rock. It was sort of debunked at one point, but then that was debunked. So, and I'm not going to say what they said happened because I would people go there and experience it for themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say what they said the reasoning was. The people who debunked it said the reasoning was for why the rocking chair rocked. Because I would rather people experience that for themselves. But it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of history. It is the oldest brick house actually in Culpeper County.
Yeah.
That's still standing.
I think it's only second oldest to probably the old Burgundy house, which is right in the town of Culpeper. I guess that's still standing.
It is. It's the second oldest. Burgundy is actually the oldest in Culpeper County.
But Salubria was another on the list of field trips in school that I didn't get to go on because I was either bad or didn't turn my homework in or something. It sucked.
Well, Jason, we'll have to take you on a field trip.
I'd love to go there. I remember
I
went to school with a couple people that
have
lived there.
a friend on the Culpeper Historical Society. I'll call her up and I'll see if we can get you in for a field trip.
That a field trip would be great, and an investigation would be even better.
Mm-hmm.
If you could pull some strings there, that would be great. I just saw a ghost run across the sofa.
Yeah, ghost with 4 legs named.
Yeah.
Who barks a lot at night.
Yeah.
I've asked about us doing an investigation, and that was a couple years ago. So maybe I can reapproach.
Yeah. It's I know once a foundation takes over a place like that, they get a little bit harder to get into. A lot of the places we investigate, we're able to investigate them because to keep that property open, they have to make money somehow, and they charge a little bit of money, but that is what it is. But if you had to pick out of all the investigations we've done, what would be your favorite location that we investigated?
St. Albans. Which was on my birthday.
You know, it's
the best.
That keeps coming up. I think almost everybody has said that.
Well, yeah, and it was like that was my birthday that we went, and that was the best birthday ever. And I tell everybody that was my favorite birthday to go there. We froze.
We froze.
But we were tired. We were exhausted when it was all said and done. We couldn't feel our toes, or our noses, but we got some great stuff. And the experience that Brandy and I had sitting there at the top of the stairs that led down to the morgue. Mm-hmm. I really wish that we had a recorder going when that happened.
That's how it always happens.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, we know now next time, just start a recorder as soon as we walk through the building, as soon as we walk in, just to start one, because to hear, just to catch that clear male voice yelling, hey.
Yeah.
We honestly thought it was you guys because we jokes on each other all the time and we have fun.
Yeah.
We have to have fun. And so, but you all were on the other side of the building.
Yeah.
There was no way.
Yeah. No, there was no way you could have heard us from where we were. No way.
No. And there was no way. Mm-mm. And you set up the camera, you turn on the camera to prove where you all were. So that logistically speaking, there was no way.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. And some of the photographs that we got that night were really hard to, not question.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just, while you said photographs, I want to bring up the pictures that you've taken, and we've even won awards from the pictures that you've taken. And I guess we should at least touch on whatever gift you have. I don't know how to explain it, but there's just some way that And I know like me and Steve will kind of make, oh, she's crazy. She's crazy. And then all of a sudden you get this picture or you get this recording and it's just like, what the hell's going on around here? Because I mean, oh, the first place we ever investigated, you got a picture there and it's clear as day. And
Yeah.
and then when we did the Gordonsville Exchange Hotel, you got that picture because you felt like there was somebody in that like side light window on the door on the second floor. And you took the pictures, and which we always take like 3 to 5 pictures in the same exact spot, one right after the other. But we
Yeah, I
won an
shoot
award for that
multiples.
best evidence caught there.
Yep. It's, I hear the chatter. When we were in the depot, and it gets really loud in the Gordonsville depot before the train even goes through.
Hmm.
I can hear the chatter. It's part of being an empath, of picking up on the things around you. And it takes a lot of practice sometimes to tune out and also to focus in.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get drawn. That's the best way I can explain it, is it's a pull. Something just pulls me in that direction. It was like that night, in the first investigation, I just got pulled towards that doorway. Something just kept saying, look here, look at me. I'm
Yeah,
right
we were
here.
wrapping up. We were wrapping up, and we didn't have it. That was
And
our first ever investigation.
yeah, and something just kept saying, look over here. And so I just started shooting the camera, and it was just a regular, I don't think it was not a very expensive digital little camera. And it was my little Canon, actually. I don't even have anymore, it broke. That I was shooting with. And the picture that I got at the Exchange Hotel that we won best evidence for, I didn't even know the story of that room when I took that picture. And I know a bit about the Exchange Hotel. We've been there so many times. That's one of the places that we tend to go home, because we've done so much to rebuild and remodel. And something telling me, look at that room, look up here, look up here. I want, just willing me to look up there. And so I did.
Yeah.
And that's, when I happened to, and I don't know what I'm going to catch until, I can't always even see it on the little screen. And
Yeah.
I've caught stuff too with my 35 millimeter that I didn't know I was going to catch until after I developed it. So it just happens. And, and that was something too, again, that I was even talking with my dad about, because I drive past that place where we used to live when I was the Oakwood Estates there on right off Route. And something always tells me to look at it as I'm going by.
Hmm.
Something always just like calls to me as I'm going by there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't turn down the road. I resist it.
Did
Something that tells me don't go down there.
your
But
mom have that gift?
she did.
Yeah. I
She did.
kind of thought she did. Yeah.
She caught a couple pictures. She actually caught one in my yard.
Hmm.
A lady dressed in civil dress. The Trevilian's Battlefield's very close to where I live.
Yeah.
And then they camped there a lot. So I was very surprised when she caught somebody. She was so excited though when she did.
Yeah.
And she said, something just told me to take a picture over by this tree. And so I did. And I took several, like you said, to do. And I got this lady in this bluish
Same thing.
colored dress. Yeah.
Has there been a location that scared you?
I wouldn't say necessarily scared, but made me very uneasy.
Hmm.
Would have to be the house in Charlottesville that we went to.
The Walker house?
Yeah.
Walker residence? Really?
Yeah. It made me feel very uneasy. I felt ill actually for a few days after leaving there. the one room that was just very wide open.
Yeah.
That front room that faced had like all the windows in it that faced the street,
Yeah.
made me feel vulnerable, very exposed, and in a way that was not in a good way.
You know what's funny about that? That you mentioned that when I talked to Brandy, because we knew that you had a gift, whatever the gift is, and we knew that you had it because it just it was proven through your pictures or whatever it was. We just knew you had it. And that house is the same one that she mentioned where she started developing a gift similar to what you have. And it was the same house, and she said the same thing. It wasn't that it scared her, it was just, almost the way you described it just now. And that's wild
My
because
hair is
to me it was just a location, and it was actually somebody that I knew, and they were going to be renting that house out, and it was in between tenants, and and he told me stories that had happened there. And that's another thing I'll mention on this episode. Whenever we go anywhere, it doesn't matter if it's a residential property or if it's an insane asylum or a Civil War hospital, it doesn't matter. Steve and I talk to the people there, and they tell us about it. We do the tour with them. They say what's going on in what room and what's been seen, what's been heard. We don't tell you and Brandy anything, nothing. And you guys tell us where to set the cameras up. And it's funny because the places that you guys tell us to set the cameras up are the places where they said that the paranormal activity is happening. And now I can't explain that. To me, that's paranormal right there, that you guys know where these locations are.
Well, and it's funny because Brandy and I have a connection ourselves. There's been many times too where you guys have been on investigations that I haven't been able to go to for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And like when you guys went to Cabin 360,
right?
And I wasn't able to go. I think I had the flu. But I was checking in, and something happened with her. She had a moment, and I felt this moment of dread, and I immediately messaged her and I said, "Hey, what's going on? Something's wrong."
Yeah.
And she wrote back like, "How did you know?" And I said, "I just immediately got this feeling of dread. What's happening?" And she said the temperature just dropped and the meter just spiked, and something's not right in this room I'm sitting in. And you guys didn't even know she was messaging me at the time because she was in the room by herself.
Yeah.
Like we all like to do so often.
I love
And
sending her to places like that.
I know. And, and you guys have done it to me a couple of times too. And, but it seems to be more her than me, which is fine. But, we have that, and she's done it with me too, where she'll call me. She's like, "Are you okay? Is everything all right?" We've even done it on Facebook, and and people can go look at our Facebook pages and see that, where she and I will post something at the exact same time, and it's almost the exact same meme.
Right.
And we'll tag each other in it. And it's just, that's just how connected we are. It is. It's just how connected we are. It's crazy. But it's just how connected we get.
So what would you say is your favorite piece of equipment to use out of everything we have or have used in the past?
Personally, I think my favorite piece is I love using the EVP. I love using the digital recorder.
Yeah.
I love when we hear something. I love when it comes through.
Yeah.
because it's such a rarity to actually hear it with your own ears, like we had that moment in St. Albans. So when we get to hear it, you know, I like I said, I hear chatter a lot, and now I'm going to have the black cat come
Yeah.
behind me. But when we can actually differentiate and hear without all the white noise in the EVP and slow it down and sound like it's just you and me talking right now, that's exciting for me.
Yeah.
That is what gets me like, just, oh, I want to go back in. I need to ask questions.
I agree. I like the SB7. I like the Ovilus X. I like all those things. But when you have just that digital voice recorder and it's just quiet, I mean, and you know, it's hard to explain how quiet it actually is in some of those places where, you know, there's just all you can hear is almost a ringing in your ear because it's so quiet. And you ask questions, and when you get some voice that comes back on that recorder that you didn't hear, and it's actually saying something that, you know, pertains to the question that you just asked, that's it's incredible to get that. It really is a great feeling.
Especially when you get a number or you get a name that's relevant to what is in that room.
Yeah, or you ask them, what county am I in, or whatever.
And you can make it out what they're saying. That's what makes me, that's what drives, that's a motivator right there. I love using my pendulum to get yes or no answers. That's fun. But it's not as accurate.
Yeah. I don't like when you use that thing. That time you used that at the graffiti house, and you know, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well, that might just be the you know, I know that nobody in the group would ever fake anything. I said, well, it could just be like she's shaking and then things twirling or whatever. And but you were getting answers like left and right. And then you were in one room, Brandy was in a room, and I was in a room. And I had my back against up in the corner, nothing behind me. And you know, it was too bad that the camera was facing the same way I am. It wasn't facing at me. But Brandy said something, can you give us a different kind of sign? Because you were getting signs, you were getting yes or no stuff. And I was like, that thing ain't working. And then all of a sudden, as soon as Brandy said, give us another sign, you screamed at the same time. It felt like somebody put their hand on my shoulder. And
it ripped it right out of my hand.
Yeah, and we got that on video where you can see it. You didn't drop it, your hand didn't move, so it wasn't like you tossed it or anything like that, but you can see the thing just pick up and go out of your hand. And it had the same time, it felt like it was enough where I got up and I looked to see if something fell off the ceiling, because it was an old house. Nothing on the floor, nothing on me, but it felt like somebody just came up and put their hand on my shoulder at the same time.
And it pulled with such a force, and it hit the wall, that I thought, oh God. And what made, you know, it surprised me. So I screamed, but I was also like, it messed up the wall. We made a mess. And it didn't even leave a mark.
No.
It left no mark. That was what was so surprising.
Yeah.
Because,
that was the graffiti house in Culpeper. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Culpeper, that's right there at Brandy Station. But so if you had a bucket list location anywhere that you could go to?
You know, I've been to the Trans-Allegheny during the day. I would love to do a regular
Me too.
investigation there. Being there during the day, definitely. I was pulled in so many directions, taking pictures everywhere, to where my camera battery and my phone battery died before we even got out the door.
Yeah.
If I could go outside of the country, Scotland would be a place. I would love to go to Scotland. And not the castles, but even just the abbeys, you know, the towns. I would love to go to Culloden, where the Battle of Culloden took place. Just any of those places would be awesome.
Yeah.
Here locally, though, I would love to do Trans-Allegheny.
Yeah, that place is just awesome, man. That was one of the first locations that I saw on TV being investigated by a paranormal group. back when those shows, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, Paranormal State, all them, when they were first getting going. And I watched them do this huge place. And I was like, oh my gosh, that would be so cool to do it. This was way before we even got started. And
Mhm.
then a couple years later, I found myself in Weston, West Virginia, doing some work there. And I had to stay like a week at a time there. And I said, well, let me just cruise around and see what's happening. And it never even dawned on me where I was, you know what I mean? And I just drove down there and I saw the sign and I was like, wait a minute. And I drove up to it and it was just like, oh, you know, and I was like, oh my gosh, look at this place. And you know, it's huge. And
Yeah, it is.
I didn't even do the day tour because I didn't have time. I would sneak up there like at my lunch break, you know, and because I had to get back and do the inspections and stuff, but I'd sneak up there and I'd just walk in the lobby, you know, the foyer, and just like look around and like look in the rooms that you could actually look at there. And they had so many, I was taking so many pictures of the wheelchairs and I was reading the book of why
Yeah.
people were admitted or committed to the place. And it was just awesome. And yeah, that's an awesome location. I
I
would
bought the
love to
book
do it.
too.
Oh,
If you
really?
ever want to actually read the book, I did buy the book.
Oh, I'd love it. I love I love some of the things that people were put in there for. You know, it's just crazy.
Yeah,
But
it
back in
was
the good days
insane.
where if your wife talked back to you, you could just say, yeah, she's just not right.
Or if he was too lazy to do the dishes.
Yeah. The good old days. Yeah. I'm glad that wasn't for us now, for the guys now.
Oh no,
Yeah.
the men could go in there for drunkenness.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, that'd be bad. Um, so I
Oh, I
guess
snorted.
I have one last question, and it's probably a
Mhm.
silly question to ask you. Skeptic or believer?
Both, actually. Both. I'm probably more believer, but you with working with me that I will go in, and I've done this in several places that we've gone in where I will sit there and say, there's got to be another reason behind this.
Yeah.
Let's look at this. Because I am a problem solver. And you know, while I do believe that there is a veil between worlds and that there is um entities sharing the plane with us, I don't believe that it's always the reason for the slamming of a door, for lights flickering,
Mhm.
for people having headaches and dizziness or hallucinations. Because it can also be other things. It can be bad wiring.
Yeah.
It can be an AC vent. It could be an unbalanced door hinge. So, you know, I recognize that. And so I'm both.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
both.
glad.
I have,
I think most people in the group would say that. You know,
yeah.
we love debunking stuff. It's nothing better. That's like its own little adventure right there, going to figure out what that noise was.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times we figure out what it was. It's just whatever
Yeah.
noise.
I mean, it's like when people, I have to laugh when I see people start posting pictures and like, look at those orbs. Look at those orbs. And I'm like, bug, dust, light, you know,
Yeah.
and
That's, to
and
me,
I
it's the
used to
same way with the
be,
flashlight. I don't
I
believe
used
that
to be
flashlight
an
at all.
orb. I used to be an orb believer. I'll be honest. I'll come right out and say it. And sometimes, yeah, there are some that you look at and you're kind of like, oh, I kind of see a face in that.
Yeah.
Kind of see an energy ball in that. But not every orb is that.
No, I'd say we probably had a handful, like literally a handful of what we would consider, what people would consider orbs. The rest of it was dust. And maybe it moved in a, you can see dust going across the screen and you can almost tell them, but we've had some that came down and then shifted and went a different way. And that could still be wind blowing or whatever. But, you know,
And
and it,
we've been doing this for 11 years.
yeah, yeah, that's a lot of dust.
Yeah. pick it up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So
Was there anything that you want to say to the viewers before we head out?
the biggest thing is if you believe, don't let anybody tell you different.
That's a great piece of advice. So
Mhm.
many people get to where they won't even tell you the story because, people will think they're crazy. They don't want to tell them that, I think I saw a ghost or a spirit or whatever he had, and people don't want to hear it. But what I found out is, um, I I used to have a sticker on my last truck that said paranormal investigator, and I'm in construction. And when I would take that truck to work, people would come up and they would say, "You do that ghost hunting stuff?" And I would always be like, "Oh, geez, here we go." They're going to make fun of me or whatever. And I'm talking to some big burly guy, just got off the
Mhm.
bulldozer or a track or whatever. And he say, "You do that ghost hunting stuff?" And I'm like, yeah, I do that ghost hunting stuff, which we're not ghost hunting, for paranormal investigator. Anyway, I say, "Yeah, I do that." And they say, "Let me tell you the story that happened to me when I was younger, or let me tell you what happened at my house the other night." Everybody's got a story.
Yeah,
They all want to tell you something, and we're the
they all
people that
do.
they don't mind telling that to. You know what I mean? Your average person they're not going to go to somebody and just start talking about an experience that they had. But people like us that they know do paranormal investigations, they're going to tell you, "I had something weird happen to me when I was younger," or "I heard this noise," or whatever. But and I like it. It's kind of like we're the bartenders of the paranormal world, I guess. Everybody wants to tell us their
Yeah.
stories, and that's cool. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it.
No. Well, Heather, thanks for sitting down with me and doing this tonight. And I'm really looking forward to our return investigation to St. Albans. And
Yeah, I
it's going
am
to be
too.
warmer this time. It was so cold last time. That's all I remember.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have extension cords with fans instead of heaters this time.
Yeah, probably so. We were going from like wintertime to middle of summer, so we'll see. It definitely won't
Yeah,
be as bad. So
and we'll have to see if it makes a difference too. I'm curious to see if it being warmer, because we seem to do a lot of our investigations when it's cold.
yeah,
So I wonder if being warmer will make a difference.
yeah. Shivering might give off more energy. So we'll see. So
Maybe they'll come out when it's warmer. I don't know.
I hope so. I hope so. I'm sure we'll get something happening. So
Oh
anyway,
yeah.
thank you, Heather. And I look
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing you real soon.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.